Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very next round of the RLH Championship. Tonight you join us at Suzuka Circuit. Unfortunately, we will not be live this evening due to issues I think that are happening up and down the PS4 community. And yeah, so unfortunately I'm not able to log into the YouTube account at this time, which is why this is going to be a late broadcast. But anyway, yeah, you do join us at Suzuka for what should be quite an interesting race. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too, as we see Matty go for a quick trip across the grass off the spoon, maybe letting other drivers through there. You can see a racing point. Kvyat Verstappen though first across the line there with a 1:23. Oh, sorry, a 1:28.3, 1 even. Cohen is not too far behind actually, as you can see, and we've got Campbell there taking provisional pole with a 1:27.8. In fact, but let's get the tyre status up here. And now it's a bit weird actually doing this not live, but means we can't really have the interaction with the audience. But anyway, we'll just get back to it. Sims in danger there with a 1:27.6. So definitely quite a lot of times going on here. And it should be quite an interesting qualifying session. But after the qualifying session, you can see just 3 thousandths between Verstappen and Marcus Short. But yeah, we are at Suzuka Circuit tonight, which is an 18-turn circuit actually. And we're going to be with riding on board with Verstappen here as he heads through Spoon Curve, which leads out onto the straight towards 130R. And it will take me just a moment to get used to this track again, because I've had a bit of a hectic start to the evening, as I'm sure you might be able to understand due to the situation. But we're going to ride on board with King David, who heads through turn 1 there flat out before lifting off onto the brakes for turn 2 at the first turn, then into the Dunlop S's of turns 2 and 3, following into the left hander of 4 and 5. Oh, sorry, 6 and 7 is that last left-hander through the Dunlop curve, which is a very extended turn in towards the Degner curves of set 8 and 9 even. The second of those two are slightly tighter under the tunnel then, under the bridge rather, towards the hairpin of turn 11, which is preceded by that right-hand kink of turn 10. Out of turn 11 then towards turn 12, this flat-out right-hander, which leads to the spoon curve of turns 13 and 14. You can see quite heavy braking here, just trying to get the maximum use of track width, as you can see on this Mercedes. Then flat out onto the straight towards 130R or turn 15, which is of course quite a difficult turn and very famous within Formula 1. Obviously in these F1 cars it's completely flat out, but back in the old days it's probably a little more difficult than that. Then into the final chicane, or the Casio Triangle as it's known, as we have a driver getting out of the way there in the background. But anyway, we're going to finish off that lap and head towards the line, and it's going to be a 1:29.8 there from King David, so slightly off the pace, but he'll be looking to improve with that. Let's just get our telemetry up here. Let's see as well who else is on track. So Deneen is off on his out lap. He's not setting a hot lap yet though. We'll ride on board because he is heading towards the final sector now, and then we can get onto the actual hot lap with him. You can see quite a lot of downforce being run here, only reaching about 184 miles an hour on the straight, but nothing like the 205 miles per hour we saw, or we would have seen in tracks such as Monza or the Temple of Speed. But yeah, here we go. The Williams heading across the line now to start his hot lap. You can see ERS mode 5 is on. Even with the DRS, actually 200 miles an hour, 202. But yeah, you can see there is definitely a bit more downforce on this track, which is very windy. Figure of 8 as well. The only figure of 8 track on the Formula 1 calendar where the track heads under and over itself, which is quite interesting. You can see the Ferris wheel off in the background there. But yeah, I do apologise for the technical difficulties this evening. That's probably due to the extra demand being put on the PSN servers at this point in time due to, of course, the virus outbreak, and therefore everyone wanting to use their PlayStations and stuff like that. So enough of that though, we will head back to the track. I'm not sure if you saw at the weekend rather, there was the iRacing 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, which is really interesting to watch. Actually, some fantastic racing there. I'm not sure how many of you guys watched it, but yeah, it was definitely fun to watch, and it was a nice substitute for the real-life racing. And of course, it was pretty good actually, because they had the Le Mans commentator for the first and last 6 hours, I believe. But yeah, it was pretty good. Of course, Jimmer not in the top split, but doing well. And yeah, just some overall good racing. But anyway, we'll head back to Deneen though, because he's currently heading towards the Casio Triangle. Big front right lock up there. That's going to hurt his tyres if he is to qualify his fastest time on them and get into the top 10, because then he will be starting on them and that lockup will not help him. But he's only going to get P15 there with a 1:29.7, just ahead of King David, but not quite close to Maledictus. Heading down the odd then, we've got Matty, Mr. Skyzy and Spaghetti Chips. We'll watch Spaghetti Chips because he's ahead of Mr. Skyzy just about. You can see Mr. Skyzy there, but we'll go to the banana car as there's yellow flags in sector 1. That's Kern Blige out of the session, which means he's going to be qualifying on that 1:28.1. So we'll have to see how that gets affected by the other drivers. But we are already past halfway through the qualifying session now, although we did miss the first few minutes, unfortunately. Heading through the hairpin then, it goes Spaghetti Chips. And Sem has left the session. It looks like connection issues might be plaguing us this evening. I'm not sure. Hopefully not. There's quite a lot of yellow flags being shown in the top left. And Simsy Danger has left the session as well. That's the 2 Ferraris. And that is not an ideal start to the evening for either of them. Of course, they are sitting first and second for now, but that will definitely change throughout the course of the evening. So this is definitely going to be interesting. Sem has rejoined the session quite quickly though, and Simsy Danger, or rather QVR Campbell, squeezing himself in between Simsy and Sem, as Verstappen overtakes QVR Campbell by 1,000th of a second. I'm not sure if you can see there because I've just got a notification, but yeah, look at that, just 1,000th of a second separating second and third there. That's absolutely fantastic, and goes to show just how close these drivers are. Simsy has rejoined the session though. That was Spaghetti Chips. It looks like it was an invalid lap time, but we'll go to Matty now, who's heading towards the Casio Triangle. Very tight right, left, right here, and you've got to eat all of the curb you can. You've got to be careful on this little right-hand kink there, because it's always very easy to get a little bit of overstep. You can see really closing up towards the line, trying to get that maximum or minimum distance to it. Of course, I don't think that lap was valid. So Matty's going to have to go for a... No, he's not. He's on ERS mode 0. He'll be coming in. Bless me. Sorry about that. Let's head back to the track. Verstappen's on an in lap. Let's see who's on a hot lap. Hopefully. Here we've got J. Cole, actually. He's very low on the RS, so I don't think he'll be completing this lap as he heads through the spoon curve. He might be going for a second hot lap, although I do think that would be unlikely. He is just at 19,000th of a second behind Dropye. So yeah, it's actually some really, really close lap times on the board on the left there this evening. And that is really, really quite interesting, as there's yellow flags in Sector 2. It's probably just drivers letting each other out of the way. But quite a tight circuit here at Suzuka. I always feel that slightly underappreciated as J. Cole goes into the pits. It is actually quite a narrow circuit, and that's going to mean drivers might have slight issues with overtaking this evening. We'll have to wait and see though. King David is on another lap, followed closely by Dougie Falcons. As King David heads through turn 10 there into the hairpin. We'll keep an eye out on these drivers. They obviously haven't set their best potential yet with the lap times, so we'll be looking to see how they can improve throughout the course of this evening. We'll head up to King David and then we'll drop down to Dougie once King David has finished. You can see just heading through the spoon curve now towards 130R, which is obviously, as I said, very famous. And that section of track is the one that goes over the section just before turn 10. I believe so anyway, otherwise I'm a bit wrong. Yeah, there's the bridge, I believe. Might be wrong there. Wouldn't put it past myself. But anyway, heading towards the line then goes King David. Across it, it's going to be a 1:29.2. Dougie Falcons then next is going to do a 1:27.8. Just 200ths of a second quicker than Marcus. Sorry, for a second there I thought it was the exact same lap time, but that'd be quite a surprise having that twice on the same qualifying session. But look, just 0.04 of a second between Droppier and J. Cole. So, yeah, it is really, really close between some of the drivers this evening. As you can see with Verstappen and Campbell, Verstappen with the fastest lap out of the two of them. We go down to Justice though. He's on a hot lap, heading through this long right-hander towards the spoon curve. Mr. Skies are getting a 5-place grid penalty for a collision with Simsy Danger. Now that is some news. I'm not sure how that might have affected Simon, the Austrian driver, but that is a hefty penalty there. 5 places on the grid, and that's going to cost a lot, especially as we were just speaking about how narrow this track is compared to some other tracks such as Silverstone. That's going to add a little bit of difficulty for the driver to try and make up positions, but there goes Justice across the line with the 1:27.9. Just over a tenth quicker than Larkin, so that is obviously his closest rival on the board. Here is Droppier though, in the Red Bull, heading up towards the hairpin as Sem sets the fastest lap there with a 1:27.3, a really quick lap time from the driver there. You can see much faster than his teammate by nearly over 3 tenths of a second. So quite fantastic, but yeah, Verstappen 1,000th of a second ahead of Campbell. That's going to be really interesting. Of course, they will be setting laps again soon enough, but we'll just watch out to see how this quali session plays out. And Simsy has gone into the pits, no doubt, for repairs, but he's going to be quite hard pushed to try and get back out on track and get that final lap time in before the session comes to an end. Anyway, here comes Droppier on ERS mode 4, and it's going to be second place with a 1:27.6. So he's just got himself ahead of Simsy there. Campbell's just leaving the pits now as he gets through turn 1 with the pond on the inside. Quite an interesting camera angle that, and I'm sure we'll be no doubt seeing a lot more of that as the evening wears on. Justice there, who I believe is on an in lap actually. Mr. Skysy though, he's on a hot lap, so we'll watch him for now and then we'll head back up to Campbell. Sem's also out on track as well, so that's quite interesting. See if he can further... Oh no, he's just set a lap actually, so he'll probably be on an in lap before I get too ahead of myself. Just make sure the pop filter... I found the pop filter actually because I was using a dusting rag, but yeah, I found the actual pop filter, or what's left of it after my dogs had at it. But hopefully that does maybe improve the audio quality ever so slightly, maybe less pops, because I'm not sure how effective that rag was. But it was better than nothing, I suppose. Also, what I've just found out earlier today was that Assetto Corsa Competizione will be coming to consoles on the 23rd of July, I believe. But as well as that, there are more likely than not going to be 2 British Grand Prix this year. One on the 19th of July and one on the 2nd of August, which would be very interesting, with the season to start in Austria in just a couple of months' time. As Mr. Skysy does get a lap there, P10, 1:28.106. So we'll have a look around. Campbell will be on a hot lap, so we'll head up to him, heading through the first few turns now. He's currently on a 1:27.2. 27.7 even. 27.2 will definitely be pole. Let's see if he can get a 1:27.2 though, because this is likely his last opportunity to get a hot lap in this evening. Notably, everyone is trying to qualify on the soft compound of tyres. No one has actually set a lap time on the mediums of or hards, so it's clear that that is going to be the optimal starting tyre for this evening. However, Campbell will be heading towards the line now, unless someone thinks they can improve on their lap time on a harder compound of tyres, which is unlikely in my opinion. But it could happen, depending on how fast their initial lap time was. Of course, only the top 10 will start on the tyres they qualify on, which leaves the bottom 10 open to strategy changes. Anyway, here comes Campbell towards 1:30. It's going to be close, but I don't think he'll want to go for a second lap, even if he makes it. Likitu there up into second with a 1:27.501. just a tenth ahead of Dropye as XL Gary gets into 5th with a 1:27.6, just 0.04 of a second slower than Simsy. But here comes QVR Campbell across the line. It's going to be second with a 1:27.4, just under a tenth of a second behind Sem, and over half a tenth ahead of Lakitu. As the checkered flag waves to bring an end to the qualifying session. Let's see what the rest of the drivers can do. We've got Verstappen, who is followed by no one, it looks like. He's got a bit of room behind himself. He is going to be looking to try and improve on his lap time, his previous lap time rather, of a 1:27.7. He's got damage, I think, or he's coming in for a pit maybe, so we'll probably hop off him, head towards maybe Dougie Falcons, who's on a low fuel run. As you can see, the fuel indicator going haywire, as Simsy Danger currently is just 1,000th of a second ahead of Marcus Short, and he's going to stay that way as he retires from the session. And look at that, how close can you get to each other? That is the second time this evening we've had two drivers within 1,000th of a second of each other, and it's probably going to stay that way as we've got the Ferrari there facing the wrong way. Hopefully he doesn't end up like that during the race itself, but across the line goes Dougie Falcons to set a 1:27.6, just 2,000ths of a second behind his teammate XL Gary, who is coming towards the line now, but not at anywhere near a hot lap pace as Nikita goes into the pits, and QVR Campbell is on low fuel, I believe. So that's going to bring an end to our qualifying session. There's a bit of carnage going out on track, and the Ferrari going into the other drivers. I'm not quite sure what's going on here, to be honest. They've hit the line, so I think that might just be the AI being a bit weird. Yeah, I suppose so, because that's Sem, who I don't think was driving, but we've got a lot of stuff strewn about the circuit. But this is the person who qualified in 18th this evening. QVR Maledictus in the hat. Oh, and I get some XP for another unknown reason. I don't think I'm going to get to level 12 by the end of the season though. But anyway, before I end this little clip here, the qualifying order is as follows. It's LR Sam on pole position, followed by QVR Campbell, Lakitu, Dropye, RLT Matty, Simsy Danger, Marcus Short, XL Gary, Dougie Falcons, QVR Verstappen, Spaghetti Chips, Larkin, Justice, Mr. Skyzy, QVR Camblage, RLT J. Cole, Niels Barca, QVR Maledictus, King David, and LR Deneen rounding off the grid. And you can see just the top 16 drivers, it looks like, within a second of each other. So that is a really, really close qualifying session. And hopefully that will translate into the race. I think we're in for a good one, which is unfortunate because it's not going to be live. But anyway, I'll leave you there and come back and join me for the race.